Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Maze MTG here with another deck tech video for you. This time a deck for the Singleton Storm the Citadel event that's still running on MTG Arena. So we've had a look so far at a couple of different decks. Persistent Petitioners was the last deck we looked at. That deck contained, I think, about 5 cards total. Looking down at the deck list here, you can see that we have an awful lot of Singleton copies of cards, really getting into the spirit of the format. And this isn't a deck that I've brewed, this is a deck that Brian Brown-Duin played on stream last night, Esper Hero. So it's a mash together of all the various Esper archetypes in Standard, but the deck list starts with Hero of Precinct One, the card the deck is named after, in so much as you could name a Singleton deck after a specific card. So whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token, and luckily enough, Wizards has printed us a lot of multicolor spells in Esper colors in Standard at the moment. And that's why this card is a powerhouse engine on turn 2, or even later in the game in the deck. It generates an army of threats on its own. However, at its core, this deck is fundamentally somewhere between mid-range and control, depending on exactly what cards you draw, and there's a couple of spicy things going on. Looking at the list, a lot of the choices are your standard control cards, so I won't dwell too much on all of the cards. I imagine it can get quite boring if I do spend a lot of time just reading you what each card does individually. There's a few cards we'll stop on, talk a little bit about them in more detail, and you might also have noticed that the deck does have a sideboard. So once we've gone through the main deck, I will scoot my head over in that direction, and we'll bring the sideboard up, have a look at why this deck has a sideboard, because there's actually 2 different reasons in the main deck. So Search for Azcanta and Arguel's Bloodfast are 2 2-mana enchantments that you can get onto the battlefield early and allow you to accrue advantage, so pull ahead in mid-range and control games. Cast Down and Despark, Tyrant, Scorn, 2-mana removal. Dovin's Veto in the main deck. Opponents are going to be playing non-creature spells in Singleton, and Veto says no. And 1 white, 1 blue, with the mana base in the deck. Very reasonable to achieve that. Thought Erasure, always a miserable experience to get Thought Erasured. Why would we let our opponents get away with not being Thought Erasured in Singleton? Single copy in the deck. Get to take the opponent's best card, and the Surveil on the top of your deck allows you to fix your draws moving forward. The remaining 3 cards at the 2 converted mana cost slot in the deck are actually 3 very powerful X spells in Finale of Glory, Finale of Revelation, and Finale of Eternity. Finale of Glory creates an army on its own. If X is ever 10 or more, you're probably winning the game the following turn. Save a sweeper from your opponent. Interesting to note, if you do have a Teferi Time Raveler active as well, you can Finale of Glory end of turn, untap and the tokens will be no longer summoning sick. Finale of Revelation is a powerful card drawing engine. The X being 10 or more benefit, not super relevant, you're just looking to use it at an opportune time to refill your hand to pull ahead in cards and advantage. And Finale of Eternity is just a 3-for-1 on a stick, and if X is ever 10 or more, again, you're going to get a lot of value off this card. The 3-drop slot, it's a who's who of Esper cards in Standard right now. Thief of Sanity, Scourge of Sideboards. I've talked about this card a lot in other videos as well. Once it hits your opponent, starts accruing advantages, you start to get casting spells off their deck. Pretty unbeatable. Narset, Parter of Veils, digs to your non-creature spells. We do have a lot of non-creature spells in this deck, and shutting your opponent off from drawing extra cards is a very real ability as well. Dovin's Acuity is a sweet inclusion. Not entirely sure how good it is, how many instants we really have to main phase. Looking at the list right now, I can see Despark, Mortify, Vraska's Contempt as potential ways to trigger it. But I suppose it replaces itself, it gains a bit of life, and if you do get to start going off, it's pretty entertaining. Teferi Time Raveler, enough said. Absorb is a counterspell that lets you gain some life, survive the early game to reach the mid-late game when we're going to be able to deploy our more powerful cards. And Mortify and Oath of Kaya, 2 removal spells effectively, Mortify a bit more flexible, Oath of Kaya with that life gain rider and the life gain on the damage it deals as well. At 4 mana, you have the creatures that form the core package of kind of the Esper Hero mid-range deck. So you have Elite Guardmage, Basilica Bell-Haunt, Seraph of the Scales, Hostage Taker. I know most of the list didn't play these 4 cards at once, but which card occupies that slot has been in flux as the format Standard at least has developed. We also have Kaya's Wrath, so one of our sweepers, clear the board for 4 mana. White, black might be difficult to get to, but as we'll have a look at, the mana base is quite robust. Otherwise, we have Vraska's Contempt, excellent removal for creatures or planeswalkers. And aside from the 2 Planeswalkers at the bottom of this column, you'll see we also have Mastermind's Acquisition. So this card is one of the reasons the deck does have a sideboard. We can go into the sideboard, wish for a card from outside the game, and again that means in Singleton, our sideboard can be 15 flexible one-ofs that we can use to tailor our game plan to any specific situation that may arise. Speaking of wishing, you might have noticed one of those Planeswalkers I referred to is Karn the Great Creator. So his -2 also allows you to access cards from outside of the game, in this case the sideboard, and we have a small suite of artifacts which we'll talk through when we get to the sideboard that Karn allows you to access. In addition, his plus can turn your artifacts into creatures to pressure your opponent. This deck is light on creatures. And shutting down your opponent's activated abilities of artifacts is a small bonus, not likely to be relevant a lot of the time. Our other 4-mana Planeswalker is Karn's Scion of Urza. You may have seen this card a bit more than the other Karn in Standard at the moment. Draws cards, gets cards with silver counters your opponent's put into exile for you, and makes colourless constructs as well in a pinch. And with Karn the Great Creator accessing artifacts outside of our sideboard, we don't just have to rely on Karn making our artifacts for us, so there's the potential for these tokens to be substantially larger than they might otherwise be. This last column, 5 mana and above, Discovery Dispersal sitting in there. Discovery is completely fine on turn 2, surveilling, drawing a card, fixing our draw, making sure we get what we need, whether that's lands or spells. Dispersal may come up on occasion, but it's not typically the casted mode of this card. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, of course we're playing both Teferis, why wouldn't we be? Time Wipe's a fun one. It's another Wrath, effectively. We get to bounce one of our creatures, and all of our creatures are either hero or a value creature. So something we're going to want to preserve through a Wrath. And we don't have enough creatures that we're likely to have extended too much ourselves, so Time Wipe will typically be pick up your only creature, Wrath the board. Enter the God Eternals. Similar to Oath of Kaya, it's damage that also gains us life back to help us stabilize, but unlike Oath of Kaya, this leaves a 4/4 creature behind. Getting into the 6 mana plays, we have 2 powerful Planeswalkers in Liliana Dreadhorde General and Ugin the Ineffable, both of which are similar in that they generate creatures for you, they destroy problematic permanents or make your opponent sacrifice down, and they both have kind of bonuses in their own right. Ugin's static ability is actually relevant in this deck with both Karn Scion of Urza and Karn the Great Creator, which you can make cost less, in addition to any artifacts that Karn the Great Creator may pull out of your sideboard, and Liliana just has the more potent ultimate and the static ability that allows you to draw cards when your creatures would die. The last non-land card in the deck is Command the Dreadhorde, because why wouldn't you want Command the Dreadhorde in a deck that's aiming to reach the late game with a fairly robust life total, buffering that life total with Oath of Kaya, with Enter the God Eternals, with Elite Guardmage, and being able to return your choice of creatures and planeswalkers to the battlefield from either graveyard. Big swing, lot of fun, love it in Singleton. The mana base is pretty standard. You've got all 4 dual lands that you can have in each of the colour pairs, so the Guild Gate, the Check Land, the Shock Land, and the comes into play tapped common land. We've got some amount of basic lands to fetch with this Evolving Wilds. Memorial to Glory, Genius, and Folly lets us get some more advantage out of our lands, because we are playing 26 of them. Speaking of getting advantage out of lands, we have Arch of Vraska as well, kind of a spell land. Make sure we hit our land drops, but also we get to activate it in the late game to start drawing more cards, again pulling ahead with our lands. And Field of Ruin is there partially as fixing, partially to get rid of problematic lands our opponents might have as well. So that's the main deck. Let's get on to the sideboard. So, the sideboard, 15 cards, obviously it's a sideboard, all one-ofs, it's Singleton, obviously. So we start with the Elder Spell, accessible only via Mastermind's Acquisition. Still very powerful. If you need lands to a Planeswalker but you don't have Acquisition, but you do have Karn the Great Creator, we have Sorcerer's Spyglass, which we can access. We have Thaumatic Compass and Treasure Map. Again, 2 powerful artifacts to get with Karn. Treasure Map in particular combos well with Karn Scion of Urza, especially once it flips, makes a load of treasure tokens, your constructs become very real threats. Thaumatic Compass is one you might not be as familiar with. It helps you hit your land drops, and once it flips into Spires of Vraska, you have a Maze of Ith on the battlefield, which I just think is sick. If you do end up playing the Mirror, you really don't want a deck. We have a Clear the Mind accessible via Acquisition, and then a fun artifact for either card in the form of Transmogrifying Wand. turn your opponent's creatures into Oxes. Don't know how realistic it is that we'll ever access this card, but it does allow your Karn the Great Creator to act as functional removal given enough mana. Cleansing Nova means we have access to a third Wrath out of the sideboard. Arguel performs a similar role on suitable boards, but also leaves behind a 4/4 menace. The Mirari Conjecture is a powerful spell to access with Mastermind's Acquisition. You also get to return Acquisition on Chapter 2 if you so choose. So, pretty fantastic there. Tome of the Guild Pact, accessible with either sideboard accessing card. Just lets you stick it when you cast multicolour spells. If Hero makes 1/1s, Tome would draw you a card and it makes an extra mana on its own. Ethereal Absolution is unbeatable in Ravnica Allegiance Limited. Pretty potent here, shrinks opponent's creatures, grows your creatures, and has the grindy ability to turn creature cards in graveyards into 1/1 spirit creature tokens that are effectively 2/2 spirit creature tokens when you take into account the global buff. The Immortal Sun, while we do play a lot of Planeswalkers, sometimes you're going to want to shut down your opponent's Planeswalkers, you want to buff your team, you want to draw cards. It's an option accessible with Karn or Mastermind's Acquisition. Meteor Golem's a sweet one, again, allows either card to act as removal. And the last two cards, Sanguine Sacrament, sometimes you just really need some life, and you can Acquisition into Sacrament. Sacrament also then puts itself at the bottom of your library, so if you do end up shuffling up, you might draw Sanguine Sacrament again later in the game. And the last one, Mass Manipulation. I'm glad this gets a place in the 75. I'm glad it's not in the main deck. Blue is difficult to reach, but if you do, we've got 26 lands, we've got the mana to cast a large Mass Manipulation. It's a very big swing that will break a board stall, or kind of swing the advantage in a more mid-rangey control mirror. So I hope you like the deck. I know I do. I didn't design it. As I said, it's a Brian Brown Doings deck from his stream last night, but we're definitely going to take it into some games in a moment. If you change anything, if you think perhaps Dovin's Acuity is out of place in this list, leave a comment below. But otherwise, let's get straight to the games. Okay, so we're ready for our first game with Brian Brown Doings Esper control deck for the Singleton format. Our opponent's Logorphin. This may be our only game with the deck, depending how long it takes to win, because I do like to keep these deck tech videos on the shorter side, but let's have a look at our opening hand. I'm having a look at my opening hand. I'm not really into this opening hand. We need to draw a lot to make this work. We don't have any dual lands, we don't have our third land. We'll mulligan this. I'm a lot happier with the 7, and I'm a lot happier that we're playing with the London Mulligan rule. I think I'd like to just bottom... What would I like to bottom? Well, we're keeping, and then we'll decide what's happening. So between Guildgate, Island, Isolated Chapel, we can cast the majority of cards. I think I just don't want this Field of Ruin. I think, although, that's probably ambitious. I just don't want Dovin's Acuity is the right answer. So we'll lead on tapped Guildgate. We might draw a basic that rewards us for holding the Isolated Chapel. I don't think we're going to play Untapped Island, the Tyrant Scorn. Yeah, we're not playing Untapped Island. We're going to play the tapped Isolated Chapel when we untap. 100%. That's a Golgari Guildgate, sure. What did we draw? Glacial Fortress, does that change anything? Well, we have an island in hand, so we know this fortress can come in untapped. So in that case, because we don't have any bigger mana plays, I'm going to play the island to give us access to Tyrant Scorn. And then we'll go from there. Just realised I'm kind of sat in the bottom left for this video, but it doesn't seem to be obstructing anything, so I'll leave myself down there. Let me know if it's an improvement or not. I can't imagine you'll mind. What's this? Deputy of Detention. Opponent's deck contains a lot of colours. But to be fair, they've got Open the Gates, they've got Adventurous Impulse, they know what they're going for. So I don't want to play any of these cards. So we'll just have this Hallowed Fountain come in tapped, which actually unlocks Isolated Chapel as well for us. So we have the mana, it's just a case of whether we draw the spells. It's not really looking like it, I'm not going to lie. So this Sacred Foundry is actually providing our opponent with 2 colours of mana. So I kind of want to just Field of Ruin that now. And then we will get what? So we have Black, black, white, white, blue, blue, blue. So we basically have all our requirements. We definitely want to get a swamp or a plains, I think. We'll just get a swamp, sure. Because then we can still Tyrant Scorn. So apparently the opponent wants the red over the white, but it does make this Deputy of Detention a bit further away, in that opponent has no colours of mana that cast Deputy of Detention. Ooh, Watery Grave Shocked in. Nicol Bolas the Ravager is a good one. Is a very good one. We'll discard this swamp. Hopefully we draw something that answers this dragon. So that's kind of awkward, to say the very least. I don't really want to be discarding another card, but we do draw a card off Teferi. So I think we have to play Teferi. And we have to -3 on Nicol Bolas. And then what do we draw? We draw a Watery Grave, so we're going to be discarding a land to Nicol Bolas. So that's not the end of the world. We want access to Tyrant Scorn, because I'd like to put Nicol Bolas back in their hand again, possibly. Very possibly. Nicol Bolas sure resolves. Discarding blue, 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 Watery Grave. So the question here then becomes, do I Tyrant Scorn this Nicol Bolas? Do I Tyrant Scorn this Nicol Bolas? The opponent has Deputy of Detention, but we can Oath of Kaya it. I think we just put it back in their hand again. We're fighting a losing battle against this card advantage, though. So we'll plus Teferi. We shouldn't have played land there. We shouldn't have played land there. Darn. Just ran the land out, but we want to have something to discard to this Nicol Bolas. Basilica Bell-Haunt's not going to achieve much if we play it. Is it? So I guess we just pass. I imagine opponent replays Nicol Bolas. Hopefully they play something else. They could cast Niv Mizzet, which would be sweet. Mana Geode's not Niv Mizzet. Sorry, not Nicol Bolas. Okay. Hopefully opponent plays something we can catch with Oath of Kaya. Wow. Land. Veto. So, Danny DeVito. I guess what we do is Oath of Kaya. We kill this Deputy, get back to Teferi, bounce Mana Geode, draw a card. We draw Arguel's Bloodfast. I do like Arguel's Bloodfast. I'd like to have this on the battlefield, actually. I guess we'll just discard Basilica Bell-Haunt if Nicol Bolas comes in. I think this is fine. Interesting that we don't know what these 5 cards are, because opponent could assumedly cast anything in their hand, which makes me feel bad about how many cards we are behind them. But I guess that's what happens where you juggle Nicol Bolas back and forth into your opponent's hand, and then get hit by the triggers again and again. But I'm a glutton for punishment. Mana Geode's back. This time opponent can cast Mana Geode and then Nicol Bolas. Hopefully we draw an answer to Nikki B if that's their choice. Yeah. I feel like we should discard Bell-Haunt. Okay, so Karn. Does Karn do much here? We could draw a card first. That's probably a good start. So we draw Finale of Glory. That doesn't really do much. We'll play Karn, Scion of Urza. We will plus. Let's see what opponent wants to give us. I guess Memorial. At least now Nicol Bolas is on the battlefield. At least. So for 7 mana, Nicol Bolas can flip. Which is a real problem. What's the flip side do? 10, yeah. Yeah. That's a problem. Well, we'll just play the land out anyway. If opponent doesn't kill Teferi... well, opponent does kill Teferi. So that's bad for Teferi. Opponent might flip Nicol Bolas and kill Karn. In which case we need to draw, like, Vraska's Contempt or Prison Realm stat. Yes, Nicol Bolas, very good. Ow. At least Karn replaced himself. So there's Absorb, a turn too late. So how much can we glory for? We can glory for 1, 2, 3, 4. Glory for 5. Glory for 5. Against 6 cards, though. I don't really like glorying for 5 against 6 cards. But I think we have to pressure this Nicol Bolas. It's a shame we couldn't do this end of turn. At least opponent was tapped out. They probably have, I assume, like Time Wipe, Find Finality in their deck. Although Nicol Bolas probably would have been drawing cards there anyway. He didn't want to go down and become dead. Opponent's looking through our graveyard. That doesn't bode well for us. Are we going to get Commander Dreadhoarded? Did I make the wrong decision not leaving up counter magic? We could just let Nicol Bolas sit there unchecked though. But maybe we were supposed to make this for 3. But then any blocker just makes that so bad. I think this is fine. From the perspective of we're super dead. But still fine. Having a good time. This deck is certainly interesting. Yeah, Commander Dreadhorde happens. Wow, jeez. Opponent saw the line. Opponent saw the line. Well. Well. Yep. Okay, Karn. So, I guess, wow, opponent has quite the stacked hand at this point as well. Maybe we're looking for Mastermind's acquisition for mass manipulation. Yeah. Okay, so opponent have Multani. We have Karn. Can Karn get us anything? We have to try. Can we view our sideboard before playing Karn? No. What will we play? Ooh, we've got the Immortal Sun. Okay. I think we're going for the Immortal Sun. Then we're going to pass. So, we have a plan. We got the Immortal Sun. I don't know if it's good enough, but we have 2 counterspells up this turn. Hopefully opponent doesn't like Nicol Bolas. You'd think if there was a creature they wanted to get, they would have got it back. They might get Multani back. Oh, they're just drawing cards. That's not fine, but if we draw a land, we can play Immortal Sun with Veto backup. That's what? Oh. Wow. Oh, opponent's just got gates for mana as well. Just like has gates energies in their deck. Opponent's deck is sweet. Yep. Oh, so we can't actually do counter magic, can we? Because Teferi is in play. I guess we'll just draw a card end of turn then, and I should stop chatting. Stop chatting actual nonsense. Sure, we'll take. We'll take. Ow. Opponent is only at 6. Vona, Butcher of Magan. That's pretty okay. And we can't stop it, but let's draw a card. Yes, I'm sure. Arch of Vraska. Well. Well. I want to draw an answer to Vona. Please. I'd like to draw an answer to Vona. Because Vona's an answer to the Immortal Sun. I mean, it would put opponent to... Yeah, that's not what I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When is this ultimate? 12. Ooh, can Karn get anything? Presumably not, but he's not going up. Let's just check. Oh, we could get Transmogrifying Wand. How close are we to dead? 18? Yeah, that's sweet. Okay. Let's get Wand. Let's get Wand. Wand. Let's turn Vona into like a goat or something. Is it a goat? Yeah, literally a goat. Play a land. We'll pass. I don't think we can hit anything off Bloodfast if we want to main phase anyway. This is 7 damage. But not dead yet, I guess? Not dead yet. Trostani. Well, we need a Wrath. Oh, and this is quite the pump. So 7, so 5 after we definitely activate Bloodfast. If opponent attacks Karn, this can't go face, can it? No, sure. You can have what? A land, sure. There you go, enjoy. I'm glad we got to actually fetch Wand. And Mana Geode. Menageode. Menageode resolves. Okay. Okay. Yes. Teferi does his thing. Oh dear, these tokens are quite big. That's the problem with the Menageode. Are we just dead then? No, not dead. Can we afford to draw a card? I think we... Basically, we can't afford not to draw a card. We'll take the damage first, though. Saves me counting. Yeah, we just need to spike a Wrath. What does this do? Is it going to get anything bad for us? Well, if the opponent's going to minus Nicol Bolas, sure. I mean, we need to hit a Wrath either way, so this doesn't change anything. If only this was permanence. Why? Why do you do this to me? Alright. Let's draw a card. Well, it's a swamp. We might want the lands. Well, Seraph of the Scales doesn't do anything. Does it? Does it? We can Wand Vona. Huh. Sacrifice a creature. 3. So if we goat this, we block 4. Nah, GG opponent. GG. So we lost a lot of traction in the early game there, having to juggle that Nicol Bolas. It's possible an argument could have been made for just leaving it in play, but then it would have just threatened our Planeswalkers. There wasn't a lot we could do. We needed removal of that Nicol Bolas, really, and then just went downhill from there. We did get to make some sweet plays, though. We used Karn to access the sideboard. I think it's definitely a deck I'd like to play again, or if you enjoyed that game and you want to see more games, you can also watch Brian Branduin's Twitch VODs from the stream. I might link it in the description below. In fact, I will. If you liked this video and you want to see me play more games live, you'll find a link to my Twitch in the description below as well. And if you want to see more videos like this, if you do like, subscribe, it is much appreciated. But whether you do or not, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all next time.